life stories. Subscribe to begin today's story. What if the person who sacrificed everything for her family got erased from their lives like a typo? Margaret Walker, a quiet retired grandmother, gave her daughter a home, raised her grandson, and sent $5,000 every single month without fail. Not for recognition, not for praise, just for love. But 3 days before Christmas, a phone call changed everything. A gentle voice, a polite excuse. And then, this year might not be the best time for you to come. The woman who gave them everything was no longer welcome. What happened next will break your heart and might just change how you see family forever. Subscribe now to hear today's life story, a tale of sacrifice, betrayal, and the courage to finally say enough. My name is Margaret Walker, just your average retired grandmother with a soft spot for oatmeal cookies and old jazz records. I wasn't born rich, never had a glamorous job, but after decades of hard work and penny pinching, I'd managed to scrape together a modest pension. I never expected much from life, but I did expect one thing: that love, at the very least, would be returned. My only daughter, Claire, got married young, to a charming, well-groomed man named Ethan Brooks. They lived in Seattle, in a pretty townhouse that I helped them buy by emptying most of my retirement savings. I even borrowed money from my brother David just to help make it happen. "From now on, this is your home too," Claire said that day, tears shining in her eyes. Ethan had nodded solemnly. "You're welcome anytime, Margaret." That south-facing guest room? They told me it would always be mine. But as it turns out, promises can age faster than people do. Over the years, I'd been sending them $5,000 every single month. It was never something they asked for. I just offered. Formula, diapers, rent, car payments, daycare. The list was endless after little Caleb was born. Claire would say thank you, sometimes with flowers. Ethan? He was always polite, but distant. I brushed it off. He's just quiet, I told myself. This year, I made up my mind early. Christmas would be with them. I spent weeks preparing. I knitted Caleb a dinosaur sweater, bought Claire that cashmere scarf she'd been eyeing in a boutique window last spring. And for Ethan, who loved his coffee strong and dark, I had beans shipped all the way from Vermont, roasted just days before. I packed my suitcases 2 weeks in advance, luggage bursting, gifts wrapped, everything humming with anticipation. I even baked a tin of my homemade bourbon cookies, sealed with a red ribbon. The thought of us, together around the table, the fire crackling, Caleb tearing through wrapping paper, it was the only warmth I needed against the cold gray skies outside. 3 days before my flight, I was trying on a new blouse in front of the mirror when my phone rang. It was Claire. Her voice was different, hesitant, tense. "Mom," she said slowly, "did you already book your ticket?" My stomach tightened. I knew that tone. It was the sound of someone rehearsing a script they didn't want to say out loud. "I did," I said, trying to stay cheerful. "Everything's ready to go. What's up?" There was a pause. And then, "Ethan wants to talk to you for a minute." She handed the phone over before I could answer. "Hi there, Margaret," Ethan said, voice soft like a doctor preparing bad news. "We've been talking, and this Christmas might not be the best time for a visit." The words hung in the air like smoke from a blown-out candle. My heart stumbled. I don't understand. Did something happen?" "No, nothing serious," he replied lightly, like we were talking about weather. "It's just my parents are visiting this year. They're older now, light sleepers, set in their ways. They'll each need their own room. Each of them, their own room." That left no space for me, the woman who gave up her retirement to buy their home. "I can sleep on the couch," I offered, my voice cracking. "Or the floor, honestly. I just want to be there." Another long pause. "Margaret," he said gently, but with a clear undercurrent of finality. "You don't need to put yourself through that. The house will be a bit chaotic. Claire and I were hoping for something low-key this year. Just some private time." Private time. The words sliced me open in a way I hadn't expected. I wanted to scream, to cry, to ask if they remembered everything I'd done, but I didn't. I just asked, quietly, "Can I talk to Claire again?" He passed the phone. "Mom," Claire whispered. Her voice was fragile, trembled like glass. "Please don't be upset. It's just Complicated. We didn't plan it like this, it just happened. And then in the background, I heard it. A soft ahem. Ethan. A subtle reminder for her to stay the course. She never said the words, "Don't come," but she didn't have to. That night, I sat staring at my suitcases, wrapped gifts, the tin of cookies. Everything looked ridiculous now, as if I had packed hope into 2 rolling bags and been told politely that I was no longer needed. Maybe I was just extra, a burden, an obligation wrapped in a knitted cardigan. But something stirred in me then. Something cold, ancient, and painfully clear. Maybe this wasn't a misunderstanding. Maybe they never wanted me to come at all. Have you ever given your all to someone, only to be pushed away when you needed them most? If you were in Margaret's shoes, would you have still sent the money each month? Don't miss part 2, when Margaret uncovers the truth behind the no-room excuse and makes a decision that shakes everything. Follow to see what happens next. That night, I barely slept. The glow of the street lamp outside painted a dull rectangle on the living room floor. I sat beside my untouched suitcases, the red and green ribbons on the gifts mocking me with their cheerfulness. The words echoed in my head. Private time. No space. Each parent needs their own room. It didn't sit right. Not the way Claire said it. Not the way Ethan avoided my offer to sleep on the couch. Something in me refused to believe this was about logistics. I needed the truth. At dawn, I scrolled through my contacts and paused on a name. Emily Brooks, Ethan's niece. We'd met once at a barbecue, exchanged pleasantries, and added each other on social media out of courtesy. We'd never spoken since. I typed carefully. Hey, Emily, random question. Do you know what Ethan's parents are doing for Christmas? I was thinking of inviting them over if they weren't heading to your place. The response came half an hour later. Hey, Margaret. Funny you ask. They're super excited. Already at Ethan and Claire's. Big family Christmas this year, and they're all flying to Palm Springs the day after. Beach and sun, so jealous. My blood went cold. Palm Springs, a resort town, flights, sunshine, a vacation. So that was it. Not only was there space, there was no intention of me being there at all. The private time was a sun-drenched lie. There were no frail, light-sleeping parents claiming rooms. There was just a tropical escape and an effort to erase me from it. I felt heat rise to my cheeks, humiliation blooming like fire under my skin. I had offered to sleep on the floor. I had packed homemade cookies, and they had looked me in the eye and lied. Worse, Claire hadn't stood up for me. Not even a whisper of protest. I dialed her number. Ethan answered. Yeah? His voice was tight, no pretense now. I didn't even flinch. Ethan, I said calmly, just tell me the truth. Are your parents even staying with you, or are they all flying to Palm Springs after Christmas? There was a beat of silence. Then, who told you that? That told me everything. You don't need to know, I said coolly. Answer the question. He didn't try to deny it, and when he did speak again, his voice was no longer gentle. It was sharp, cold. Look, Margaret, Christmas is for our family. My parents worked hard to raise me. They deserve a nice holiday. You're making this complicated. I felt something break inside me. Not with a crash, but a snap. Complicated. That was what I was now? After everything? I helped raise your son, I whispered. I gave up my retirement to help you buy that house. I've sent you $5,000 every month. And now, I'm a complication? His response was quick. Bitter. You gave us that money because you wanted to. Nobody twisted your arm. Don't act like we owe you. There it was. Not even a flicker of remorse. You know what? I said, voice calm but laced with steel. This month's transfer, the $5,000? It's not coming. A pause, a shift in air. Then came the silence. For the first time, it was his turn to be speechless. Have you ever discovered a truth that made you question everything you believed about someone you loved? Coming soon in part 3. Claire breaks her silence, and Margaret makes the boldest move of her life. Follow to see what happens when silence turns into strength. 5 days after what used to be the day of my monthly bank transfer, Claire called. Her name flashed across the screen like an old memory knocking. I let it ring, once, twice before answering. Hi, Mom, she said, overly sweet, too careful. Just wondering how you've been. It's getting colder. Make sure you're staying warm, okay? I'm fine, I said, voice flat. A beat passed. Then she drifted into small talk. The weather, my balcony garden, the bakery down the street. I waited, knowing what was coming. And sure enough, like clockwork. Oh, by the way, Mom, did you forget to send this month's money? I let the question sit there, still as a frozen pond. I didn't forget, I replied calmly. I just didn't send it. Silence. Mom? Her voice cracked a little. I figured with the holidays and your in-laws around, you're probably doing well. I mean, you said I wasn't really part of the family anymore, so it didn't feel right continuing to act like I was. Her voice sharpened. Mom, how could you do this now? The mortgage, Caleb's tuition, the credit cards, we're stretched thin. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I simply asked, why is it that when you needed money, you remembered me, but when I needed a place at your table, you forgot? Before she could answer, Ethan's voice cut in, loud, defensive, angry. You don't get to manipulate us like this, Margaret. You think just because you've sent some money, you can hold it over our heads? I closed my eyes, took a breath, and spoke the words I'd been holding back for years. I'm done, Ethan. No more money. No more pretending. No more being tolerated. You said this was your family, so go ahead. Take care of it. Claire's voice trembled. Mom, wait. No, Claire, I said softly. You heard him call me a burden, and you said nothing. Her silence was louder than his shouting. 2 weeks later, on a gray January morning, someone knocked at my door. I opened it slowly. It was Claire, disheveled, pale, her eyes hollow. She stood there, clutching a small suitcase and a tote bag. Her voice cracked. Mom, I left him. I left Ethan. I didn't say a word, just stepped aside. She entered like a ghost. No makeup, no coat, just a shell of the woman I once knew. She sank onto my couch, hands shaking. He snapped, she whispered. Said everything was my fault, that without your money, I was useless. When Caleb got sick, he told me, your kid, your problem. That was it. That was the moment. Her voice broke. I don't want money. I didn't know where else to go. I walked into the kitchen, made her tea, brought it over with a blanket. Sweetheart, I said, if you're ready to talk, I'm ready to listen. And she did. For the first time in years, she spoke honestly about her fear, her guilt, the truth she'd been too scared to face. And I listened, not as a bank account, not as a babysitter, but as her mother. Weeks passed. Slowly, painfully, beautifully, we began again. Claire found a job at a used furniture store. She helped around the house. She said thank you more than she said sorry. She even started saving. One evening, she turned to me while folding laundry. Mom, she said, if I ever start slipping again, remind me of this, of what it felt like to rebuild something we almost lost. I nodded. We don't need to go back, I said. We just need to keep moving forward. The day she moved into a small apartment near Caleb's school, she hugged me tight. This time, she whispered, you're not my safety net, but you'll always be my home. How did this story make you feel? Have you ever had to choose between love and self-respect? If this story touched your heart, comment 100 below. Tell us what country you're watching from, and don't forget to share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Let them know it's never too late to choose peace. Stay tuned for more life stories that reach deep into the soul.